We're talking about the most unsuspecting mistakes that people make when they're designing their homes that affects the flow and functionality of their space and how to avoid them. One of the most unassuming yet most common mistakes that I see people make is not considering the overall style and flow of the house that they are putting together. So let's say you have a brand new house or a brand new apartment that you're about to design. You should think of it as a story. So in a story, the chapters are not going to have the exact same details from one chapter to another, but there are certain characters, there are certain scenes, there are certain elements of the story that's going to carry through throughout the entire book from one chapter to another. So you have to think of the spaces that you're designing in such a way that it is telling a story. So it's not to say that every single element is going to be the exact same, but there are certain elements and there are certain colors and patterns and textures that should be carried throughout the entire room to create this one cohesive look and have this flow of continuity from one room to another. What that does is that it makes the space a lot more polished and it makes it look like somebody thought through this. Somebody thought about what this space would look like rather than just taking a bunch of pretty things and throwing into the space. So we want to think and create design plans that's going to allow us to carry those elements from one room to another so that the whole house, that whole space can tell one cohesive story. Furniture that is either too big or too small. And the reason why that happens is because most people go to the furniture store, grab themselves a nice set of furniture that they were shopping for and just come and bring and hope and pray that it fits into the space. We go shopping without measuring our space. Typically, you should shop by measuring the size of your wall, the size of the room itself, and even the size of the ceiling. Because what that does is that it tells you the size of furniture that you need to bring in and the different proportions that should go in. When you purchase a set that is way too big and you stuff it into a place, it makes the place feel cramped, it makes it feel stuff. It makes it feel like it's visually overwhelming. It's cluttered. And so we don't want to start with a cluttered space because already that takes away from a lot of the creativity and a lot of the other decor pieces and design pieces that we would like to bring into the space. If you're already starting with something that's too big, that's taking too much space, you're already starting in the negatives. It's harder to move through a room that is designed in that sense, in that way. On the other side of it, when you purchase things that are too small and you leave things, furniture pieces that are too small inside a room, it makes it feel like it's undone. It makes it feel like the room is empty and it's uninviting, and it can even make you feel like it's difficult to get comfortable in the space. So the best thing to do really is to measure the space and purchase the pieces that fits that function and the flow of the room that you are putting together. Another one is ignoring the function of the room when you're decorating it. So I will say this, when we first moved in, we got a love sack sectional and I absolutely love that thing. It has a speaker in it. I have to do a review for it one day, but it has a speaker in it and it's super comfortable. And we got that as one of the first pieces of furniture to put in our living space. It's not a formal living room. It's the living room that we use to watch TV, to just spend time with the kids. So that was the first piece of furniture that we bought. But everyone was doing beige, everyone was doing neutral colors. So guess what? Your girl ordered it in a beige color. And it took me about a few weeks, and thank goodness for their great return policy and their satisfaction guarantee policy. I was able to return all of those, but it took me about a few weeks to decide that this color is just not gonna work for the functionality of the space because I have small children and I was finding, like, you know, sticky hands on them, and I was finding things and I would be scrubbing that thing forever. Like, it was a full-time job and we had to swap out the covers for it. But this brings it to, you know, thinking of functionality of the space to decide not just the style, but also the colors, the patterns that go into the space. So if I'm designing a living room, I want it to be more comfortable. I want it to be more inviting. I want it to be somewhat cozy. But if I am designing somewhere that's a little bit more formal, like a formal dining room or a formal living space where, you know, it's almost like a reception room, then of course I can create a design plan that matches that vibe and that matches that functionality so that it can make sense. So taking into account what is this space going to be used for is huge. If you are enjoying this video and find anything that I've shared useful, please do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I upload videos just like this one. The other one is overcrowding the room with too many decor pieces. Okay, so unless you're going for a maximalist look, which even that, there is a specific way to carry it out so it doesn't look like, you know, the thrift store threw up inside your house. So unless you're going for that vibe, accent pieces, decor pieces should literally do that. Accent. They should accentuate pieces or the structure and the design of the space. They shouldn't be competing. So if you have a whole bunch of little pieces of furniture and figurines, if you're someone who likes all of that, one of the ways that you can do that is that you can still enjoy that style is maybe having a cabinetry that has glass door where you can display them in such a way that makes it look like a collection. But to have it scattered all over your house, it's just not going to look right. It's just not going to give you that designer polished look that you are going for. So decor pieces, again, it's almost like getting dressed. When you get dressed, I think it was Coco Chanel who said this, that when you are getting dressed, the last piece of accessories that you put on, take it off. So you don't over accessorize, because an accessory does just that. It's supposed to accentuate something that is already beautiful and that your eyes are not going to compete with. Okay, this one I know you've heard, using matching furniture sets. If you got it, that's fine. Here's the solution. You can take the smaller pieces and bring them into different space. Because what does that do for you? Remember that first tip of having cohesion throughout your entire house? That does provide that if you already have it. But if you don't have it, it is best and sometimes cheaper to buy just one piece. You can just buy one sofa and then bring accent chairs and other accent things that are not from the same set, because it just makes it look flat. It makes it look out of the box. And so we're not going to do that anymore. So matching sets are a faux pas. And again, if you have it in your home, you love it, yeah, please keep it by all means. Another thing is ignoring the importance of negative space. And I mean that both on our walls and in our floor plan, right? It's important to have flow and balance in a room. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier with crowding the place with accent pieces. It's the same thing. There has to be a place for your eyes to rest, because when your eyes have like either an empty wall or an empty space to rest, then you can appreciate the next thing that it lays on. I don't know how to put that, but this is the best way I can think of it. Negative space is important in the whole aesthetic of a room. Again, it's like, you know, doing your face, doing your makeup. If you're into makeup, you know that if your eyes are popping, you probably shouldn't have your lips pop and your cheeks popping. Otherwise, you might end up looking like a clown, because there's just so much competing things, competing elements. When if you want to accentuate your eyes, let your eyes shine and maybe do a nude lip. Or if you want to accentuate your lips, you get the point. So ignoring negative space is a big no-no. And lastly, which is a big one, not considering how the design choices of today going to play out in the near future. So yes, this is why we do trends in very small bites, and we do them in ways that are not overcommitting. So if you're purchasing a large piece of furniture, like an expensive piece of furniture, such as your sofa, your bed, your headboard, those pieces are usually going to cost you a pretty penny. Your table, your dining table, those things are going to cost you quite a lot. So unless you really have the money to dash out and you don't really mind it, then the suggestion is that you go classic on these pieces, you go timeless on these pieces, and then you know, the sky's the limit with the accessories and with everything else that is around it. But when you are designing a space, you should always be asking the question, how will this age? How will this play out? Am I gonna be comfortable living in this space with these decisions 5-10 years from now? That's why one of the ways that we did this wall that's behind me, which is trendy now, but I do know that like in about 5 years it's probably gonna be out. One of the things that we did was we created it on a board that could be installed on the wall, like a piece of wall art. And if you haven't watched that video, that is also on this channel, so you can go ahead and check it out, how we made this wall. But we did it in such a way that was not overcommitting, because when you are making these design decisions that cost so much money, I mean, come on. When you are making design choices, you always have to think about, how is this going to age? Again, thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please do not forget to do that. Comment below and share this video if you found it helpful. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when I upload videos. Thank you so much for joining me. Toodaloo.